Okay guys, we're back in sort of our rough draft practice scene where we're getting ready to make our Survivor Island. And as you develop, it'll help if you can run around and kind of explore your environment and really see how it's coming while playing. So what we need to do is get a character controller in here. Remember, this time we're using a third-person character controller. And the easiest way to get one of these into our game will simply be to go up to Assets at the top of your Unity menu, and then go down to Import Package. When you hover on Import Package, you'll get a few options. All we need right now is the characters. So clicking on that, you should get a pretty quick loading bar, and then we should get a new window, so keep an eye out for this when it pops up. You need to just come down here and click Import. Now there's a lot of little things you could check or uncheck. I don't want you to worry too much about that right now. We're just going to import the whole package, even though we don't need necessarily all of it. You should see another quick loading bar or two, and hopefully this won't take too long. Now once those loading bars disappear, you should see your standard assets folder appearing down here and right down here. When we click on that, you'll notice one of our first folders available is characters. Going into characters, we see first person, rollerball, and third person. You can guess which one we're going into. Inside of here, we have quite a few options, but we want to get started quickly, so we're going to jump into the prefabs folder. And here we have an AI third-person controller. This would be for like an NPC, a character that you might walk up to and have a conversation with. So we're going to ignore that one for right now, and we're going to go over to the one that just says third person, and if we were to select it, you'd see, of course, it says third-person controller as the full title. So I will just drag this into my scene anywhere that I want my player to start. I'm going to drag it up kind of on this high ground here. Now before I go and test play, I'm actually going to go into my hierarchy on the left, and I'm going to double-click on my third-person controller. It's the fastest way to zoom in on something when you're far away from it. And I want to make sure that this is placed so that his feet and his capsule collider, that's this green outline here, represents the collision for our character where he's going to walk into a wall or land on something. And we're just going to make sure that his collision is above the ground so he doesn't get stuck in it or fall through it. Looks pretty good right now, so I'm going to go just hit my play button up here and give this a quick test play. Well, that doesn't look like what we want. Our camera isn't looking anywhere near our player, so that's a little bit of an issue. Let's go ahead and get our camera a little bit closer to our player and following our player. One of the easiest ways to do this will be to select our third-person controller and then go to our third-person controller's inspector. The top component over here is his transform, which includes his position. If we copy this position information and put it onto our camera, the camera will snap over and be right on top of our character. And then we can just make a few small adjustments to really put it where we want. So the easiest way to copy all of these numbers is to click on the little gear up here on the top right of our transform component, and then click on Copy Component. Next, I'll go over and click on our main camera, and then up in our main camera's transform, I will click on the same gear, and instead of hitting Copy Component, I will go down and click Paste Component Values. And now you'll see my camera is right here. So instead of dragging it by hand all the way across the world, I basically just made a teleport on top of my player character. Now I can use my Move tool, that would be this one right here, to drag the camera up and back a little bit so that I can see my player character. I may also want to use the Rotate tool to look downwards a little bit from above. And you can take some time and really try to get a good camera angle, whether you want that to be centered behind your character, or often it's kind of over the shoulder, a little to the left or the right, depending on how you want your game to play. But once you have a pretty good camera angle, well, you could try test playing, but we're probably going to run into another problem. I have control over my character and I can see them, but the camera is not following them. So let's fix that real quick. Now, this is kind of a quick and dirty way to get this working. Later on, we might add some code to create a proper camera controller that will make our camera function a lot nicer. But the easy way to get started is just to click and hold on your main camera and then drag it down and attach it to your third-person controller. That will make it a child of the third-person controller, meaning that it will follow it around wherever it goes. So this camera might not feel as good as, say, the camera in Grand Theft Auto or Dark Souls, but it is functional and it will get you started with test playing your game. Walking backwards is especially funky right now, so we'll work on these things later. But at least you can walk around your environment and start to get a feel for what's going on. So just get your third-person controller in the game and get your camera attached to it so that you can walk around and start exploring, at least a little bit.